What's going on, you guys? Theo here with the big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters Allstar video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing the Saturday Chat and Chill. That's right, guys, we've made it to the weekend. Happy weekend to all of you. And you guys know what that means. Basically, we're going to be sitting down, we're going to kick back, we're going to relax, and we're going to talk about a topic for about 15 minutes or so. So before we get into this week's topic, if you guys could go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, I always appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get into this week's topic. And I am not going to lie to you guys, it feels so good to talk about something that is not BS or SS related, but let's go ahead and talk about these developers' handbooks and break these down topic by topic. So the first thing, if you guys do not know what these developers' handbooks are, I will have the links in the description so you guys can check them out. But basically the first thing that I want to tackle here is going to be the 4th and 5th slots for these new imprint stones. So basically Netmarble has told us that we are going to be getting star-shaped and moon-shaped imprint stones for the 4th and 5th slots for our imprint stones on our characters, and these are going to be compatible with all of our characters. Now, basically the way I look at this isn't necessarily all that big of a deal, and the reason I say that is because, let's face it, right now, all the content in the game, if you have limited banner characters, is already face roll and extremely easy. And so therefore, for players that have things like BS and SS characters, basically, you don't even need to think. You can just kind of go in and get through any of this content, whether it be Immortals or Guild Raid or RHD or what have you. It doesn't really matter. If you have your characters maxed out already, you can get through all this stuff pretty easily. So that part to me doesn't change anything. I don't think a 4th and a 5th imprint stone slot are going to change anything there. However, what I will say is the player base that I feel like it is going to make the biggest difference for is players that do not have or lack limited banner characters. Now, the reason I say that is basically because players that have nothing but unified banner characters at this point have characters that, let's face it, largely, for the most part, are going to be just that much weaker than these limited banner characters, at least in performance. And keep in mind always, guys, you're not in competition with anyone. Even in things like Championship, 9 times out of 10, most weeks they don't allow you to use imprint stones anyway. So that's something else to keep in mind. Imprint stones and things like that, really, it's just kind of, it only matters to you on a personal basis on your account when you're just sitting there by yourself. Nobody else is in competition with you, nor are you in competition with anyone else. So you don't really have to worry about whether or not, your neighbor at this point has this stuff. It doesn't really matter. But worry about yourself on this stuff. And if you're a player that is in a position where you have a bunch of unified banner characters, say you have Awakening 3, 4, 5 unified characters, and you're still struggling here and there to get through certain content, getting these new stones is actually a blessing for you, because these should put your characters over the top to the point where they're able to at least somewhat match up to limited banner characters in damage output, more than likely. So at that point, with 5 maxed out stones, you're basically in good shape to get through any of this content, in my opinion. So for you guys, this is probably a bigger deal than people like me who have all the limited banner characters. But the biggest thing I know a lot of people are a little bit upset about is the fact that right now the system with the hammers and things like that, as far as building up our stones, is really the biggest problem. Heck, they could give us all the stones they wanted if we had more access or readily available hammers in the game, and that is something I'm hoping that they're addressing, whether it's through the new salvage system, which they did mention that they are going to be giving us the things that we need to build up these stones or to create these stones or whatever. It's Google auto translate stuff, so who knows what the way they do things over at Netmarble with CM Yuri. We don't know what that wording means, but I'm assuming that we'll at least be able to get some new hammers somewhere. So that's what is basically going to make or break this hammer situation, or the stone situation, as it were. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but I just wanted to make that point because I really don't think that it matters if we get these new stones right now, unless we're just going to be getting new things that are going to be such power creep that we need these things. It really doesn't make a difference with the current content, to be honest. There's really nothing that is going to change. Now, as far as everything else in here. We are going to be getting new Infinite Battle, and with the Infinite Battle thing, I'm really not all that interested in it. Like, Infinite Battle PvAI is really just not that fun. I really don't care about it because it's super easy. Now, the Prestige system is pretty much tied to the new Infinite Battle because we're going to be getting the items we need to build up our Prestige, and the Prestige system sounds innocent. Like, it doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal. Honestly, it's going to be something where it's just probably going to be there. I don't think anybody's going to pay it much mind, or it's going to be that big of a deal in the long run. I mean, when was the last time you really worried about, you know, your friend's codex, or, you know, that random person that you're talking to on the Discord's codex, or whatever the case may be, which is almost what this sounds like. You know, so it's one of those things, again, don't worry about it. Like, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. It's better than us getting a full-fledged VIP system or something like that. So the Prestige system, the way that they're wanting to do it, sounds fine. I don't really care about that. It's not a big deal. I'm sure that it'll probably give our characters a little bit of a stat buff. Like I said, probably similar to a codex type of situation, maybe a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. If anything, it might again help players that are going to be lacking limited banner characters to just make their normal characters that much better. So again, we'll have to wait and see, but nothing there that sounds all that bad, to be honest with you guys. The bigger things in here obviously are going to be the Epic Quest and the Chapter of Struggle, which basically is new content at this point, and we've been needing and begging for new content. And I'm most excited for the new Epic Quest. They mention new characters, they mention new cards. I'm hoping the characters are Fest characters, and I'm really hoping the cards are 3PGs for some of the existing characters that could use them, kind of like we've gotten in the past with Epic Quest. So my genuine hope with that is that we end up getting those things, because I think that those are very welcome, especially for players that don't have the budget to put into the game, like actual IRL money and things like that. So it helps them get free characters that can help them in progressing throughout the game. And even if the characters aren't things that'll help them, maybe the cards will. So that's why I'm really hoping with Epic Quest they do those things. But in general, Epic Quest we pretty much can assume is coming around August. They had mentioned in the developers Q&A that they did on the Korean live stream that they were planning the new Chapter 2 Epic Quest for the August anniversary event. So you can kind of assume that we're going to be getting that stuff around that time. But before that, it sounds like we're probably going to be getting the stuff we've just talked about with the new stones and the Chapter of Struggle and the new salvage system and all that stuff, because they did go out of their way to mention that they were planning the salvage system for the end of June. And being that the salvage system is tied to giving us what we need in order to build up those new stones, I would assume that this entire new system is probably the end of June, and then we'll probably get Epic Quest and some of this other stuff towards the summer, like August, you know, late summer, somewhere in there. So that's what I'm assuming, but that's kind of the way it's sounding like from what you can derive from reading what is basically hieroglyphics at this point with CM Yuri's posts. But yeah, I mean, it really, to me, that kind of stuff I think is pretty much set in stone, no pun intended. I think we can pretty much assume that unless there's a major change in the background. But to cover all those bases, I do think that all those things honestly don't sound all that bad. You know, if you really think about it, none of that stuff really sounds like it is going to make or break much. It doesn't sound like it's going to change much. I don't think that the landscape of the game is just all of a sudden going to be upheaved by any of this. So to be honest with you guys, I would just wait and see on all of it. I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And with the Chapter of Struggle, my hope is it's something that's actually a struggle and fun. You know, when it comes to things that are challenging and fun, Netmarble seems to have a hard time balancing the two, because if you look at things like Spider Robot, for example, the Spider Robot is the opposite of fun, but it is a challenge, so you got that. But I'm hoping Chapter of Struggle is not in the same vein as a Spider Robot, meaning I hope it is challenging and fun. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but I'm actually genuinely excited for that thing, because I'm hoping that it actually does present that to me as far as what I'm expecting there from it. But again, we'll have to wait and see, just like any of this stuff. But the biggest thing that I feel like we need to take away from all of this, though, and I think the thing that a lot of people have not talked about too much yet, is going to be the part 3 of this developer's handbook. Because the part 3 of this developer's handbook actually has a lot of it has a lot of things that it is going to be doing that could make or break us for the future of the game. And why I say that is because it's going to be covering the 3rd anniversary, and it's going to be covering new dungeons. And being that we have been in a PvE content drought for, Lord, at this point since they introduced Guild Raid, you know, as far as a major PvE update, then they need to knock this out of the park. And the 3rd anniversary update we'll get to, but the new dungeon thing, it, like I said, it has to be something they hit a home run with, because if they don't, I do think that it is going to turn a lot of people off in a big way, and they might lose those people in general, because people have been holding out hope for a PvE update for a very long time, and we have not gotten it. And so therefore, now that we know that we are going to be getting new content from the looks of it here in the next couple of months, whenever they announce this stuff in this part 3, I think that that's kind of a make or break scenario, but not as big of a make or break as the 3rd anniversary update. So they also announce or mention the 3rd anniversary massive update in here. And this is the biggest thing of all of this, because this is what's going to make or break the future of this game as a whole. Because anniversary updates, we've talked about this in the past, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I have seen games close their doors because of a disastrous anniversary update. So when it comes to anniversaries and gacha games, they're almost sacred. It's one of those things where developers are very conscious and very interested in the performance of their anniversary updates as far as gauging the future of their games. And with this one, this is going to be make or break for King of Fighters Allstar, and I really hope that Netmarble knows that and they go out of their way to knock it out of the park, because they have to. They have no other choice. They have to pull out every stop. They have to do everything possible to make people happy with this, because if this anniversary update is hot off the heels of months worth of controversy and issues and people being upset or disappointed and yada, then there's going to be very little hope for a long-term future, in my opinion. That's just me being bluntly honest. The 3rd anniversary makes or breaks this game, and really it comes down to Netmarble. They have the future of the game in their own hands. They can do what they want with this, but if they were smart, they would go out of their way, they would spoil us rotten, and make sure that everybody is as happy as possible around this anniversary update, because they need it at this point. And with everything that's been going on, I know that a lot of people have been upset by some of the updates recently and the timing of things and so on and so forth. But one thing I do want to throw in here is, with all of that being said, with all those things discussed here, I do want to make sure that I mention to you guys, you know, when it comes to all of this stuff, yes, things have been really kind of lame for the past couple of months, or at least the past month for sure. You know, with all of that, take the good with the bad. You know, I would wait and see. I do think that the next couple of months are pivotal. You know, if the next couple of months suck and the next couple of months they completely, you know, crap the bed and things end up falling apart and don't work out and the 3rd anniversary is terrible, then the sky is falling. But in my opinion right now, there are a lot of promising features and updates coming to us with some of this stuff in this developer's handbook. I largely think this developer's handbook isn't that bad. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think a lot of people should be too upset by any of this stuff. I don't think any of it's cancer. I think all of it could be potentially good. So the real thing is going to be waiting to see what happens with the anniversary update. And that would be my advice to you guys, is to wait and see what comes over the course of the next couple of months heading into the end of August. Because if by then we know, pretty much at that point we'll know what we're getting with the 3rd anniversary, we'll probably be done with it at that point or getting close. Wait and see then where the game is going, because I do think that they are going to be doing a lot of things in the next couple of months to make everybody happy. I think that they're well on their way with what they've mentioned in this developer's handbook if they implement it correctly, if they give us more access to hammers so that those stones aren't that big of a deal, if they roll out this new content and it isn't bugged out of the box, if they roll out new dungeons and they're actually fun, if Chapter of Struggle is actually difficult and fun, if they're able to give us an anniversary update that manages to make everybody happy, if the new guild raid works and is fun and interesting, all all these different things, if all this stuff works out for them, I do think that they have a really good update on their hands here and a lot of good content coming. But the big X factor is going to be that part 3. Again, that part 3 makes or breaks it. So wait and see with that. That's what I have to say about all this stuff. What say you guys? Let me know in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you on Monday. Peace.
Continue.